hello, how are you? I'm an insane chook and you are watching me fumble and fall while I draw. I would like to be very clear about this video and say that I have this whole video set to 2 times the speed and I will fumble and mumble while I talk. Also, hey, fumble and fall while I draw sounds like the perfect name for the series. Sounds just as clumsy and messy as I am, right? I should probably start talking about the video and the character I'm drawing. Have I saved and named the file yet? No? Okay, so this girl I am drawing is from my own personal project that I keep procrastinating on, and her name is Suzume Mori. She is one of my favorite characters, and I'm very sorry to say this, like to torment the most. Please don't look here for 15 seconds. I'm already uncomfortable with showing my drawing, so please don't pry further. Okay, you can look now. I admit I am not emotionally and mentally ready to show a large majority of my drawings, especially drawings of Suzume. I was not, and still not ready, to tell my niece, who had caught a glimpse of her in a rough sketch her name, and tried deflection and distraction. Even now I am still too shy and uncomfortable with this video, but I haven't finished editing all of my Baldur's Gate 3 footage, so instead, I am uploading this short video instead, regardless of how I'm feeling about this decision. Now the truth is, I am a very fragile person, and I will never stop being fragile. So instead of waiting for the world to be a little less judgmental, cynical, cruel, and quick to douse other people's passions, instead of waiting for a change that might never happen, it might just be easier to just be a little tougher. To be a little braver version of myself that isn't afraid to wear their heart on their sleeve and show passion for things they love and find peace and comfort in. It might be scary to face rejection, dismissal, hate and envy disguised as criticism, and you can keep protecting that version of you from the world. But by the end of it, the you were protecting would just end up buried by the mask you've created to fit some ideal version of yourself that never existed in the first place. And like me, you'll end up trying to dig them out from the lies you've made and all the protections you've placed to answer the question people ask and ask again. What makes you you? And when you find them, you're scared they'll get hurt. It's kind of funny. I can show any other character I've made and be okay with it, but there's something about her that makes me just so nervous to show the world. It's not like I can base her off of me or anything. She's literally not me, but she's something I can find peace and comfort in. Sure, I might try to set fire to everything around me just to remove the evidence of her existence to other people, but that's because she just occupies a very special part in my heart. Maybe nobody will ever hear my ranting. Maybe someone will. Maybe someone who needed to hear that will one day hear it and feel like it's fine to not force themselves into a description or style that isn't them to satisfy the people and world around them. I wish I had heard that when I was younger instead of listening to everybody saying how it's unprofessional or how nobody would take you seriously if you drew this and that style. That your work has to look like this to be considered successful. For your future to be possible, it has to fit in and be something else. If I knew that, maybe I wouldn't still be trying to find myself, my style. Maybe I would have already had a style I would have been proud of. But I know I can't and shouldn't keep living in the past while thinking of how different things would have been if only some things were different. You can't change the past, but you can take the lessons you've learned and figure things out from there. Maybe you can even teach the next generation to embrace what makes them and their style, instead of following the old lessons and thoughts passed down from generations past you. that were meant to force you to be someone else's idea of successful and talented. It would have been nice to have known that all art is fine, because all art styles are an artist's unique identity and thoughts on what makes something beautiful to them. Maybe after all this ranting and talking, hearing the next part of what I have to say will be weird. Or it might make a lot of sense. I don't know, I'm not so sure about anything that comes out of my mouth anymore. For starters, I could tell you about why I started this drawing. I could also tell you about a lot of things, really. Like how I can't draw on a certain medium for too long, or else I lose my abilities and carefully accumulated skills deteriorate before my eyes once a certain point has been reached. I don't know. Probably something about the drawing will be better. And since it's being sandwiched between such a heavy personal topic and a hilarious personal debuff, it'll probably, and hopefully, be forgotten quickly and be left as an easy to forget footnote in this video. So let's start with that. Let's start talking about the inspiration and reasons why I'm doing and drawing what I'm drawing. Sometimes when you're bored and you start obsessively indulging in certain series, maybe to the point of, concern. Yeah, I'm in that kind of weird phase right now. Do you want to know what I'm obsessing over right now? Oh, it's Husband Hotel. Yes, yeah. As if you're not one without sin and odd taste. And the songs are too good. That's enough to get me hook, line, and sinker. I am weak to a good song, and they have several. There's too many to hold, and my watch history is just that on repeat. And I'm kinda concerned about liking the weird TV man too much. He's too cool and funny, and the worst part is that for being just a rectangle, he's kinda I like his Vogus dance moves in his song where we see him being a human, or what he was like as a human. Kinda please end my misery here. I don't like the chokehold that rectangle has on my mind right now. Why did I bring Husband Hotel up? Well, first I'm gonna apologize for being indulgent. And now, I'll confess that sometimes, more like almost all the time, I like to try seeing how my characters look in different universes, while not changing too much of their story, but just enough for them to fit into another universe / franchise. So with this particular drawing, I drew her as a sinner. I still wanted her to look like herself, mostly because I just like how she looks and I think she's pretty, but I also imagined that she would have used her looks to lure victims to secluded places to, make sure they're not a threat anymore. I think she would be a siren type sinner who would use her beauty and a sweet voice to trap and make sure her victims don't have a good ending and can't harm anyone else. Someone in life who thought of herself as a vigilante while using the most extreme measures to do what she thinks has to be done. And with how Husband Hotel has been portraying most sinners as either people who can't let go of their regrets, or as people who were terrible wretches with terrible, horrible problems involving the red, rusty liquid. I think, aside from being involved in the really wet and metallic crime, she also regrets being unable to prevent the things that happened to another person she knew from basically happening. I imagine that sort of guilt for not acting sooner would have pushed her into acting out justice while forcefully freeing herself from her captors. Feeling that she was now pushed into a path of no return, she would have kept going on this irredeemable path to make sure there are no other victims like her and her friend. So while she was alive, she lured those who would have preyed on people like herself and removed the threat of them and what they would do from the streets. I think she would have met her end when a guy she rejected because she assumed he wasn't a threat, and maybe a decent guy, was straight up not. I think she would have regretted not agreeing on the date, not because if she did, her time wouldn't have ended so quickly, but because letting him go meant she let a dangerous man live and prey on other people like her, and that meant she failed to keep those like her friends safe. And I feel like the sense of responsibility is what would have kept her in hell, not just because of her actions, but because she would have felt like what happened to her friend was her fault and an unforgivable sin to bear. Now that the backstory for her as a sinner is over, I have to ask, have you ever had a character you make develop interest in attractions that you are just disappointed by? I mean, not just something you've chosen and never agreed with. Oh, no. I mean it in a way where you're daydreaming one day and you come across a character you personally aren't interested in, but you know your character will adore them and possibly have a crush on. I realize that Suzume has a type, and that, I guess, some of the parent would be so proud of their child for choosing, because they're so good and perfect and nice and respectful. You know that they're going to be the best partner for your child. But they're also kind of pathetic in a way that's easy to bully. Like, you can bully them and they will either treat it as something nice or cry for a split second and be fine afterwards. Like, I know they can make us so happy and everything. It's wonderful. But you're both fictional, and I need drama and plot points to think about before I sleep. I can't fall asleep from Happily Ever After and all the soft and sweet hand-holding and fond words and positive affirmations you two would share. No, that will be boring, and it's not stimulating enough for me to spend 10 seconds daydreaming about before falling asleep. I'm happy you're happy, but I'm not really happy. Please give me entertainment, because that's what I created you for, and your choice is not enough entertainment for me. I'm sorry I made your life miserable. Please don't hurt me. Now that I've finished talking about her for now, I would like to present to you a topic change. I'll admit, I am kind of weird in regards to a lot of things. For example, I have a weird limit when it comes to drawing. I can draw pretty well on paper for maybe about 10 drawings, and then when I try to draw picture number 11, I can't draw good anymore. Everything becomes ugly and terrible. Proportions are, let's say, unusual and wonky. Poses are blank and lifeless. And hands are now impossible, when before, sure, it wasn't incredible, but they were hands and they looked pretty okay. They looked like hands. Picture 11, hands need to be hidden and then buried so they won't hurt me or anyone else looking at it. Now here's where it gets both funny and weird, as well as devastating to my ego. I have to change my medium to digital. I have to pick up a stylus and start drawing on the computer. The worst part is, the digital drawing also has a countdown. It's not a shared countdown, thank goodness, but it's its own nightmare mess. I can draw 10 drawings digital and be capable and great at it, and then it hits the 11th drawing. That's no longer a picture. That's a shoddy attempt at being a beginner hobby artist, or an AI bro thinking he can draw just fine without his stupid prompt and generation tool. Luckily, if I switch between the two mediums, I can offset the counter, but who wants to keep track of it? Not the person with the stupid problem, that's for sure. I kind of wish I could be like everybody else and have, oh, I don't know, no bloody countdown? I'd like that very much, you know? Because I'm not really a fan of going, hang on, I'm on cooldown and I need to pick up some good old-fashioned paper. And the worst part is, when I forget that I'm on cooldown, and I try drawing while I'm on cooldown, and everything looks wrong and ugly, and you try harder, but everything is terrible, and you lose the will to keep drawing, and the days turn to weeks, and the weeks turn to months, and suddenly it's been 2 years since you've last drawn a single picture, and you pick up the other medium that you weren't using, and all your skills have returned to you for that drawing, and it feels great until picture 11. But you're bored, and so you try to draw with what's on hand, and it becomes another horrible roller coaster of emotions as you realize you've seen this horrible cycle before. Not just with your art skills. No. The video game character you were playing with had this exact problem. A cooldown. I thought my horribly hyper-specific luck was the only thing that got messed up in character creation. No. They also messed up my cooldown and skills. They made it both impossible and efficient for creative pursuit. But it's too tricky and annoying to master. If God exists, I will fight you, and probably lose, but I will fight you with everything I have because I want to respect this horrible build you've dumped on me. Speaking of respecting points, can I, respect my luck? I hate it. I hate that all the numbers in the world are against me. I hate that random number generation in every game I touch gives me the worst possible things. And if I ever stream a gacha game pool, I would be the one player that proves streamer luck isn't real, as I struggle to get anything of value, because some horrible divine force has decided to force all my luck into one specific thing: finding car parking spots. It's great, I can find a spot on any day of the week in the busiest place possible, with the best possible benefits for me and my scenario. That's great, that's amazing. I don't drive that often, so I don't really need this. The worst thing is, you give my siblings the ability to win raffles at first place, and you give me that. I can tell you hate me. You don't have to say it. Your actions are proof enough. They're proof enough that you are actively conspiring against me. I have to look at weird websites to guess if my luck will be horrible that day, and then take 10 points off from their score, because that's how little luck I have. Maybe next time I could talk while I'm drawing, but then I can't focus on my drawing and the drawing will take longer. I kind of enjoy the whole recording and scripting to avoid my constant streams of and likes, and it gives me some time to think about what I want to say without looking too stupid, silly, and confused at my own existence. It's kind of nice to keep it separate so that I can formulate and talk about anything I want. Hey, maybe next time when I'm coloring this drawing, I can talk about all my funny stories, along with the context and scenarios of each situation that's happened to me, like the dumbest pigeon I have ever had the misfortune of coming across, or even that one sloth that sure showed me that they could be interesting. Or how about the other silly pigeon in a different country? There's so many weird things that I have witnessed and sometimes caused, sure, they're not too interesting or unique compared to other people's lives, but the little things are what makes life hilarious and entertaining. Oh, I could even talk about all the crazy dreams I have had that I can remember. The context wouldn't make sense, but they'd be fun topics. They're kinda hard to fit into any other video, but they're pretty good for just soft banter. Sometimes I ramble about dreams for a while. Sometimes it's because the dreams were so baffling that I need a few more minutes to talk about it, to make sense of what happened in it. Dreams do have a weird way of showing infinite possibilities and playing loose with the flow of time, and I enjoy talking them out because I can make sense of what's going on and what goes here, and sometimes the consequences of certain in-dream actions. Kinda like a video game where you're going back a few saves to change your outcome. Or maybe avoid getting arrested for stealing. Maybe I play too many video games. But they seem to have branching events based off of my actions. Like an actual video game. And I'm not certain if everyone's dreams let them go back to before that one big decision that changes their dream or not. It's also the reason why I never want to wake up in the mornings. I just want to go back to the dream and see what the other options are. Sadly, dreams don't always repeat, and trying to go back to sleep to see the other outcomes, it's a big waste of time. Because instead of the dream you wanted, you get a new dream that's completely unaffiliated with the dream you wanted to see. Or maybe I could just talk about the characters I'm drawing. Maybe even writing down more of the information about them. Hey, maybe next time, when I'm coloring this drawing, I would tell you all about what her original story is, and all the parts I've kept and changed for this version of her. That actually sounds kind of fun. And after talking so long about her in this video, I don't think I'd actually mind giving out more information on her. Though I kinda wish YouTube won't get so upset when you say certain words. It's kinda hard thinking about alternative words for those things. It might even be pretty fun to show some of my other drawings of her in the next video. I might show the ones I haven't posted online. Though that reminds me, I have a proper question. I'm sure I'm only asking the air, and the air will probably answer me. But I'm sure asking wouldn't hurt anyone but my own self-esteem. But I'll try asking anyway. Would you like me to upload my pictures somewhere so you can take your time to look at? If you do, where should I upload my pictures? Should I upload it onto X? How about Patreon? Tumblr? Let me know in the comments below. Oh dear. Air can't type an answer. So who am I asking? I no longer know nor care, to be fair. I also want to draw my characters and their abilities as if they were in Genshin Impact before I try playing it again after so long. It'd be fun drawing Vernie as like a 5-star character people weren't huge fans of. You know, Ally? You know how she was basically promotional material with no content? Yeah, I want to do that to my characters, but also give them a few more unique little things like Vernie's stuff that would drive people crazy or angry. Though it would actually be a spear in the game. Even better is that it has the worst gimmick, being 0 damage. But instead of giving you like any damage bonuses every single time you like upgrade it and improve it, it actually gives you a giant HP increase. It would confuse people, and perfect for Bernie. We finished the line art today. The next video will focus on just coloring the picture. It'll be fairly simple, I'm sure, but the problem is I can't make up my mind about the color scheme. Knowing me and what I'm like, I won't figure out much until I see it, and even then I won't know. What's a common way to sign off on letters? Well, there's sincerely, love, from, and all those things, but there's gotta be more, right? I know there's the classic sweet and simple one where you just sign off with your name, no dancing around like you're done. Maybe today I'll just use this one, my absolute favorite. Yours sincerely, Insane Chook.